Friends, will you pray with me? And as you feel so comfortable, I invite you to join in the second time through. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O God. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O God. Amen. We find ourselves at a trial. A trial called by God to put God's people on the stand, so to speak. To put God's people up in front of the mountains, the earth itself, these long-standing parts of God's creation, to see what they have to say for themselves. God gets up first and says, "What have I ever done to you? I brought you out of slavery. I have done all these wonderful things for you. I have created you." And this section of Micah, which has long been one of my favorites, took a little different meaning to me this reading through, as I considered this response. Because the word that came to mind after reading this again was petty. This is the response of God's people, trying to woo God over, trying to buy God's favor and blessing. This is sort of like, I can imagine, in a household with a partner or children or a roommate, where someone says, I do all of these things around the house. All I ask is that you replace the toilet paper when it is empty, and you put your trash in the trash can, and you wipe down the table. That's it. And the response is, "What do you want? You want me to clean the whole house all the time, scrub on my hands and knees? Do you want me to do all of these things for you?" And God says, "Look, I have told you what you need to do. Justice, mercy, walk humbly. No, you don't have to fall down on your hands and knees. No, you don't have to sacrifice the fruit of the womb. You don't have to sacrifice the calf that is a year old." This response from the people is just this sort of, I'm going to try to just throw all this stuff at God and try to make it seem better. This reminds me of, how many of you have seen the original Willy Wonka with, his name just flew out of my head. Yes, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, not the Johnny Depp one, the one before that, the original one. Veruca Salt, the golden egg and the goose, right? And her dad comes over. "How much? How much for the goose?" He says, "Not for sale." "No, how much? How much can I throw at you?" This is the people, God's people. "How much, God? How much can I do for you to earn your favor, to receive your blessing?" God says, "You are completely missing the point." We get this again in the gospel reading this morning from Matthew's version of the Beatitudes. Jesus is speaking to a crowd. He's speaking to the disciples, but we can imagine the crowds are sort of listening in. And who's in this crowd? Jesus has been out doing healing. The crowd that is listening in on his teaching to the disciples are the sick, are the poor, are the marginalized, the ones suffering most under the oppression of this empire that they are living in. And what does he say? You are the blessed ones. You who mourn. You who are persecuted. But not in a prescriptive way. Not in a, these are the things you need to do to be blessed. That you need to seek out being persecuted. That you need to seek out situations that will leave you grieving. No. Jesus is saying, it's already done. Despite what the world telling you, that you are struggling and you are suffering because of something you did, no. You are blessed by God. And perhaps even more blessed than those who are blessed by the world, because you know that the world is fickle. You are blessed by God. If you mourn, you will be comforted. If you are persecuted because you are seeking out righteousness, you will have the kingdom of heaven. The blessing is there first. There is no way of buying or earning or wooing God's blessing or God's favor. And in fact, this note in Micah, what does the Lord require of you? What does the Lord ask of you? To do justice, to love mercy or love kindness, and to walk humbly with God. But we do that not to earn God's favor, but in response to God's blessing that is already there. There is no amount of money that we can throw at to get the golden goose. Won't happen. And in fact, if we're trying that, we're missing the point, and we are probably going to miss out on all the blessings that are available to us. And the blessings of God don't always look like the blessings of the world. We might think sometimes, if things are going well for us, okay, must be doing something right. God is blessing me. Well, not necessarily. God has already blessed you, yes. But it doesn't always look like the world's blessing. It's not winning the lottery. We try sometimes. I always think of this, the phrase from Joan Didion's book, The Year of Magical Thinking. Sometimes we have magical thinking, right? If we do this, God, we make bargains. Okay, God, things are not going well, or I really want this, God, so what do I have to do? Okay, I will go to church every week. Okay, I will make sure I pray. I will not swear most days. We start making bargains. We start throwing things at God. What do you want from me, God? And God says, that's not the way it works. It's already there. You are already a child of God, a blessing. So all you have to do is do justice where and when you can. Love mercy. And keep going with me, with humility, Just keep going along with me. I've got your back, even when the world doesn't. The blessing is always first. Amen.